most expensive, the most influential, the most luxurious, the most recognizable, the most counterfeited, and the most desired brand on the planet – Louis Vuitton. So how did an ordinary boy manage to quietly transform a simple trunk into a real suitcase that no journey is complete without? Why did the two cherished letters LV, intended to protect against counterfeiting, become a coveted target for fakes? And how did the Parisian manufacturer turn his brand into a synonym for luxury and the art of selling dreams? This is the story of Louis Vuitton. In 1854, a 34-year-old unknown Frenchman named Louis Vuitton opened his own workshop for making trunks. The sign on the door read, "Securely packs the most fragile items, specializes in fashion packaging." At that time, trunks were enormous, ugly and heavy, sometimes covered in animal leather to protect against rain, but when wet, they emitted an unforgettable pig-like aroma. Louis then came up with a new, interesting concept for luggage, and in 1858, he introduced the revolutionary waterproof Trianon trunks covered with a special canvas. The flat shape of the trunks was astonishing against the backdrop of bulky trunks because from then on, you could easily stack one trunk on top of another. Sensational! It may seem unremarkable now, but not 160 years ago. Moreover, there was no need to hire porters to carry trunks around. One could manage just fine with a suitcase, and they didn't stink. This idea quickly attracted major and wealthy clients, various bourgeois aristocrats. The French circus Rancy with a batch of trunks for transporting ponies, and even Napoleon III's wife Eugenie became an ambassador for Louis' trunks. Possibly she imbued the wooden trunks with aristocratic charm and inflated self-esteem for their owners. By 1885, travelers from all over the world wanted to swap their trunks for suitcases, and shops had to put up signs saying "We speak English," while Louis continued to surprise with inventions like the secretary trunk, which could be used as a writing desk, the wardrobe trunk, and the bed trunk. In 1886, Vuitton spectacularly introduced a unique lock with springs inside the suitcase rather than outside, leaving thieves no chance to casually snag something interesting from someone else's luggage. Louis even challenged the famous American illusionist Harry Houdini to escape from their locked suitcase, but the magician for some reason decided against it this time, which only fueled more interest and pride in the product. From then on, Louis' trunks were equated with Swiss banks, and only the owner knew what skeletons lay inside. But Vuitton always kept a spare key just in case. In 1892, the brand shocked the French with an aluminum suitcase, and at that time, this metal was considered more valuable than gold. This event was the height of class, but Louis Vuitton took the secret of where he got so much aluminum to his grave. With grand success and attention came a problem. The brand's suitcases began to be actively counterfeited. They needed to stand out. Initially, they made a distinctive brown-beige striped print, then a checkered print, but that wasn't enough. In 1896, the famous print with flowers, circles, diamonds, and the alluring LV letters appeared. They merely wanted to protect themselves and their goods from fakes, but ultimately they became the most counterfeited logo in the world. At the dawn of the 20th century, Louis Vuitton stores appeared in New York, Bombay, Washington, Alexandria, and Buenos Aires. Anyone with a thick wallet could afford not only a ticket on the Titanic, but also to have their belongings in luxurious trunks, which still belong to the heart of the ocean. In 1901, bags finally began to appear. Well, they were called bags later on. Initially, it was the steamer bag for dirty laundry, but lovers of rummaging through linen quickly turned it into a fashionable accessory, which is still reissued to this day. However, the model Keepall is considered the true ancestor of bags, replacing heavy trunks. As soon as they appeared, they started to captivate the hearts of fashion lovers. For actress Audrey Hepburn, they even changed the size of the bag, turning the Keepall into the Speedy 25. And for the legendary Coco Chanel, already famous in the 1920s, it was an honor to create her personal bag model, the Squire. However, there's something Louis Vuitton prefers not to recall: the years of World War II. Due to the dictatorial regime of French Marshal Pétain, who supported Nazism, signs reading "Dogs and Jews not allowed" had to be placed on the stores, and suddenly few wanted to be seen with an anti-Semitic suitcase. The brand wasn't too concerned. They needed to make busts for their marshal and somehow prove their loyalty, becoming the first French company to receive an award from Nazi Germany for special dedication. Unfortunately, it's unknown for what services the LV owner's office had a certificate, because a sudden fire in the company's archives in the 1950s destroyed documents precisely from the 1939-1945 period. But as soon as the war ended, mass air travel began, and LV was quickly forgiven because someone needed to supply the rich and influential with luxurious trunks, bags, and wallets. In 1966, the icon of pop and modeling, Twiggy, held a papillon bag in her hands, enchanting the world to replenish LV's wallet by $11 million a year, and 56 years later, Twiggy pulled the same track. If you had to choose one item from Louis Vuitton that became a symbol of the brand as a celebration of luxury, it would be the Noe bag, which appeared in the 1930s at the request of a champagne lover who needed a superpower to carry up to 5 bottles at once. The brand created such a bag, but one day they carried not just sparkling wine but an entire company bottling fizzy bubbles. In 1987, the merger of Louis Vuitton with the French luxury champagne company Moet Hennessy for $4 billion resulted in LVMH, one of the most influential fashion conglomerates in the world, which now owns Christian Dior, Givenchy, Fendi, Kenzo, and many other companies with their own iconic histories. But let's return to that Louis Vuitton that thrilled the public with its heavy luxury. In the late 90s, for the first time in its 143-year history, the brand started creating fashionable clothing and shoes. The success of sales in the new market was reflected in revenues of $1 billion a year, and the world began enviously gazing at enchanting models adorned with the coveted ladders, riding carousels, emerging from elevators and descending escalators, wandering in old train station sets, and stepping out of hotel rooms. Not to mention the nurses in white silk robes and black lace masks. Louis Vuitton's advertising campaigns were also spectacular, or sometimes not quite understandable, such as why former USSR leader Mikhail Gorbachev was driving past the Berlin Wall with a Keepall bag, with a magazine poking out of it featuring headlines about unsolved murders. It was bold. In 2017, the fashion industry experienced the most talked about event that blew up the internet and Instagram: the collaboration of Louis Vuitton with the streetwear brand Supreme. Although back in the 2000s, Supreme illegally applied Louis Vuitton logos to their products. But back then, such a skateboard could be bought for a couple of $100s, while 17 years later, the same skateboard in an LV case cost an immodest $54,500. Louis Vuitton is cherished not just for its coveted initials and recognizable brand, but also for its readiness to fulfill the most unusual whims of fashion enthusiasts, offering a lifetime guarantee on their terms as long as you bring them your money. For example, they once made a rolling library, the Library Trunk, for Ernest Hemingway, a specially designed trunk for Egypt's ruler Ismail Pasha to transport local fruits to Paris. In modern days, a travel vanity case M4 for Hollywood star Sharon Stone sold at auction for $45,000, a collection of Louis Vuitton city guides for the most interesting places on the planet, a desert breakfast trunk equipped with a built-in solar panel that can hold a TV, computer, coffee machine, and DVD player, a trunk for transporting the World Cup trophy, custom-designed bags for the Godfather family, a backpack with an integrated umbrella, a suitcase for Olympic medals, a caviar box, a leather case for a priceless Stradivarius violin, melted chess sets, first 8 kits, and for Chanel designer Karl Lagerfeld, a bag for his 40 iPods and a carrier for his beloved cat Choupette. Karl, in gratitude for the gift for his kitty, drew sketches for them, leading to boxing gloves and a large travel trunk with a punching bag for $175,000. Even dishes, shoes, and dolls can have their luxury trunks. Speaking of toys, the Steiff teddy bear is the brand's most expensive item, priced at $2.1 million. But if you don't have that kind of money, to everyone's envy, you can upholster the interior of any car or even manhood. However, beware, amidst all this luxury or show-off items, there might be fakes. But praise to the brands, they vigorously fight this, especially in Europe, where counterfeits can be confiscated, destroyed, and fines imposed. Even if you're Britney Spears, who in 2007 had to litigate with the brand over the Do Something music video, in which the Hummer's dashboard was illegally upholstered with Louis Vuitton's insignia. Britney got off with a reprimand, while Sony BMG and MTV Online had to pay the brand $80,000 each for broadcasting the video. They even had to sue eBay in 2008 for poorly combining counterfeits and won more than $56 million. The brand never holds sales, never offers discounts, and if a new collection isn't completely sold out, the leftovers are ruthlessly burned. However, for the burned items, the brand, according to the law, receives a duty refund of 20–25% of the item's cost. And what price tags Louis Vuitton has? Just one notebook costs a minimum of $44, while bags range from $1,500 to $1 million. For 170 years, Louis Vuitton hasn't lost its quality, hasn't changed its unique print and cunning locks. Even a bag released nearly 100 years ago is still a subject of fascination and dreams. Today, Louis Vuitton is sought after by fashionistas and hype beasts, bringing in sales of $21 billion, with the brand itself valued at $500 billion, being called the most expensive, luxurious, premium segment brand affordable only to the chosen few. But isn't this deserved? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel so we can continue to delight you with great content.